And welcome to this Divine Partnership Coaching video. I wanted to take a swing at answering some questions that I've been hearing asked in some of the other chats, live chats and stuff. And I think this one's going to be, well, let's do synchronicities. And I'm trying to think of the best place to start because really, once you're open to them, there's so many different things. So the best way I can think to describe it first is that, okay, if you get into listening to, Eckhart Tolle or Abraham Hicks, they'll talk about, receptive mode and power of presence. And receptive mode, for me, is okay, I get into a good mood. I'm open. I'm willing to embrace the absurd. So I might just sit down and decide that I'm going to do some writing or I'm going to do a video, and then I have this. It's an intuitive feeling, so it's a pleasant one. It'll be like, I really want to go for a walk, or you know what? I think there's something that I need to check out in the backwoods behind the house. And it's not usually something that makes a whole lot of sense until you learn to follow that, and then it starts to make sense. And it might be that when I get up and I go for that walk, 5 minutes after I went for the walk, my friend calls. And I usually go for a walk when my friend calls. And so then I was already on the walk. It was perfect. I wasn't in the middle of working. Or maybe I decide to walk to the store and then I run into my DM or an old friend. Or I don't know, along the way while I'm walking, there's a garage sale, and I see a picture of a rose, which is significant for me. Synchronicities are very interesting things. Another one that I've been thinking about is actually this card that I keep up here. This is from an old deck that I had. It's one of my favorite decks, and unfortunately, it was under a canopy that got knocked down in the snow, and then the deck got wet. And what's funny is I assumed that all of that deck was gone, and when my DM and I first separated, there was a car here that was, well, it was complicated, but it needed to be towed out of here. And my family had called somebody to come pick it up and tow it away to, VOA or something like that. And I went to clean it out. It was a car that I had driven for a number of years. And I went in and I got in the back and I was cleaning stuff out and I found this card. And it's funny because when I last had this card, that it would have ended up in the back of the car, we were in the house that my DM and I and our kids lived in for, 13 years. And, 12 years plus a year in the apartment. It was such a funny one to get at that time, because, this is the card, this is the Dancer of Promise. And it's got 2 marks in it from little mousies. And I didn't even realize the relevance. Mouse has been kind of I would say a rotating totem that has been going on during the separation. And the Dancer of Promise was really significant because we had been talking about getting married. And it was really hard to call for the separation, seeing that he still needed some maturing to do, and I still needed to work on my own attachment challenges and work stuff and things like what I'm doing right now, these videos. But it was just something about it that just said, you know what, hold on to this. And it was Spirit's way of saying the promise is not gone. And yes, somebody has taken a bite out of the person you have commitment with, but it's not the end of the world. And it also kind of made me feel like, you know what, the universe brought him to me and brought me to him, and that's a promise that is being kept. And it's funny, it's another card that I found, this was out of a different deck, the Nine of Cups. And in the Rider-Waite deck, it's wish fulfillment, and that was like, oh yeah. Another card that I found when I was having a really hard day and I was trying really hard to keep the car clean because it's not been one of my best features, and it's pretty much his car. Well, it's my car, I drive it, but it's in his name and it's his car, and yeah, it's a thing. But I was upset and I was trying to work and trying not to think about him and trying to keep my head on straight, and I went to clean out the back seat, and there, like, hidden between the seatbelt buckle and like there's this like pocket in there was the strength card. And the irony in that synchronicity is that, like, I found that and I thought, you know what, that's right. Have strength, have courage. And it's the eighth card, and the eighth card, number 8, is my Enneagram type. And it was like, okay, like, yes, I can do this, I can do this. But it also brought me this incredible vision, and I wrote something down. It was kind of I realized that the strength card was kind of the Beauty and the Beast thing. And it was about, it's kind of like divine feminine, like think of the Belle from Beauty and the Beast, who sees, the lion, or this beast, and realizes that there's an incredible divine masculine in there, and like she doesn't care what he looks like. She loves him and sees through his grump and Gus, and he fights it, but over time he starts to realize that she does really love him and he can trust that and it's okay, and he starts to love her, and then he has to make the ultimate sacrifice. But like I had in it, I was thinking of the picture on the card where, she's not forcing the lion's mouth open. The lion is opening his mouth for her. And that's like that ultimate, like, I don't want to tame you, and I accept you wild or tame or anything else. And, the lion is like, I want to do this. I want to trust you. I want to be your protector. I want to accept your love and give you love. And it had helped me even with my DM, because we were going through a particular time where he felt like I was trying to control him, and be like others in his past. And I mean, I admit, I mean, I'm a Capricorn sun. I can be rather controlling, and sometimes I don't really even look at it that way, or I didn't, because it felt like I was mostly just trying to keep people out of trouble. And I'm often right, which is curse as much of a blessing. And with my own anxious attachment, like, I realized that I had been trying to force things, including him, and it's a romance killer, for sure. And I realized that, and especially with his Leo placements, that trying to force anything was not going to go anywhere. And one of the things that I love about him, is that he is not controllable. And the funny thing is like, that's been something I realize that Spirit's been helping me, not necessarily to show him, but to be a person who knows him and knows that, and I've been here since the beginning going, look, there would be no reason, there's no reason for me to want to control you. Like, yes, I would love it if you did everything that I wanted you to do, sort of. Like, that wouldn't really be fun. That would be imperfect. But yes, there are things that it's like, sometimes it would just be nice if you would just do what I ask sometimes. I'm not trying to control you, but I do want it to go this way. However, if I'm really wanting to be his partner and what he wants to do is not aligned with what I want him to do, and I try to make him do it, that doesn't that would be karmic energy. That wouldn't be divine energy. And of all the people that he's been with, they've been very, very controlling, and he's talked about how much he hates it. The irony is that's part of the karmic lesson that he's been learning. But the synchronicity of that card that day, I wrote that thing, and it's helped to carry me and remind me to be in my integrity, and to not just not try to control him, but to give the steering wheel over to Spirit about the whole thing and trust spirit and not always need to know what the outcome's going to be or when or why or how, which is another part of embracing the absurd. Just, you don't need to know why or how. I didn't, at the time when that card appeared, like, I really wanted to know how and when and how long and what can I do and am I doing enough and am I doing too much and all that stuff. But it was one of the key elements that helped me learn to release that. And that changed a lot of things. And what's funny is, like, I mean, now there's, we're going on 8 months. August will be 8 months of separation. And he's been learning karmic lessons with third parties and everybody under the sun. It's funny. It's very Agatha Christie, count them down kind of thing. Um, but the image came back to me about what I wrote. And then I saw the card back up there the other day, because it's not like I like look up here all the time. I keep them up there for those moments. And it reminded me that the fact that I was the type to choose that, to look at that and hear that message from spirit and say, you know what, as frustrating as it is, I'm just going to give spirit the wheel and trust that whatever he's going through right now, he needs to go through, and whatever triggers me is something that I need to heal. And even trusting that, like, if he's my false flame or something like that, that it will work out and things will be fine. And being open to any outcome. And now, like, I mean, I've just been myself. I've not forced anything. I mean, I've had my not pretty moments. I've had a little bit of drama that I've inserted, but for the most part, I have just stayed in my integrity, done my best to be a good friend, to be authentic about how I feel without, like, overdoing it. And now I'm seeing him learn to stand on his own 2 feet and to not keep choosing the same painful karmic cycles. And what's great is that he's learning to do that without me or anybody else standing there telling him to do it or saying, you better pick her, or I'm gone, or if you don't do this, you're not a man, or anything like that. He's doing it because, well, it's funny, I haven't really even talked to them enough to know what the because is, but I feel like between telepathically and, I'm seeing some doves fly around. See, that's a good synchronicity too. Doves is the thing with the song Two Turtle Doves. They're usually a sign of love. That's a synchronicity too. In any case, like, he's freeing himself, and it's part of learning self-worth and releasing fear of abandonment and recognizing that he deserves to be free for a while and not be under anyone's thumb. And me releasing that control, like that, from that one moment, that helped me realize that, you know what, he doesn't need me to chastise him or tell him what to do or tell him what he's doing is wrong or tell him I told you so or anything. Like, think about how you might feel in that situation. I know when I think about it, like, I want somebody to have faith in me. I want somebody to encourage me and be reassuring. And sure, I don't want them to, like, blow smoke up my ass, but I want them to recognize that I can handle it and that I will ask for help when and if I need it. And so I've just been treating him that way. And I mean, as far as I know, I'm the only person doing that in his life. I hope he's got a couple other people doing that, but sometimes it really just makes a difference of having one person who does that and who does it genuinely. But, like, that's that synchronicity of that card, the first card, the Dancer of Promise. Okay, I recognize, I listen, Spirit. This is not the end of things. Getting the Nine of Cups card, wish fulfillment. Yes, he is my wish fulfillment. He's always been my wish fulfillment. And also learning that reflection that he is I am his wish fulfillment too. And then getting the Strength card, and not just, oh yeah, I need to be strong, but allowing in that download of that story. And there's so many other synchronicities too that can happen. There'll be times when like a song will come on that is very meaningful to me and my masculine, and I'll take a picture of it, like a screenshot, or if it's on YouTube, I'll copy the link and I might send it to him. It depends on the feeling. Like, if I get an icky feeling and I'm like, no, it doesn't feel good, then it's not a good time to send it. But if it feels good or neutral, like, yeah, I'll send it. And I can't tell you how many times that I've done that and sent it, and he's been like, I really needed that song right now, or I really needed that message, or, something like that. Or there will be times when he'll send me messages and they'll be sent at like 1:11 or 12:34 or 3:11. They're synchronistic times. And depending on those times, I might apply numerology or tarot or something else, and I'll try to listen to what comes up first thing and go with that. And the other thing too is, like with synchronicities, you might notice that, like, when you are feeling really good, when you're feeling in alignment with your inner being, when you're seeing your, like, people around you as humans who are flawed and fallible but imperfectly perfect, and you're having a good time, you might start noticing certain, like, let's say the cars around you start increasing in value. Like, maybe you see a fancy Lexus or a Corvette or a brand new Jeep, or maybe a Lamborghini drives by or something like that. And, like, that's your vibration starting to rise up. And you might notice that even with people around you. You might go from seeing a lot of, like, let's say, malingering drunk people whenever you go to the store. And then suddenly you go to the store one day and there's like doctors and firefighters and policemen and people that look like they probably have like 6 cars back at home. Those are synchronistic. Those energies are rendezvousing with your energy, when you get into higher vibrations, and it's telling you what's going on around you. Synchronicities, in a similar way, are: one, communication with your inner being; two, communication with spirit, which usually happens through your inner being; and three, for this particular one, they're often communications either from your divine partner's 5D self or higher self, or they're from spirit trying to show you the signs. Some people will give me a sign, right? And lightning strikes, and then you're like, okay, there's a sign. And you can ask the universe for stuff like that too. You can do that, like, universe, can you please give me a sign of, like, what the right thing is to do right now, and maybe then you'll see an ad for a pillow on YouTube, and you're like, oh, you know what? I really do need a nap, Or you might see a commercial from Tony Robbins talking about unleash the power within. Maybe it's time to do some solar plexus work and do some reclaiming. Or if you go into a convenience store and you hear a song like Lionel Richie's Stuck on You, and the first person that comes to mind is your divine partner, that's probably them thinking about you too. Or the universe wants you to think about them for some reason. Or they're at work trying desperately hard not to think about you, and it's not working, and so things are popping up. I I like to joke with a friend. I can't wait to joke with my partner about it, but I like to joke with a friend who understands a lot of this stuff and be like, I can tell when he is trying really, really hard not to think about me, because it almost feels like that energy then sends me way more synchronicities, which is totally law of attraction too. I mean, if you spend a lot of time saying, I don't want to think about that, what you're telling the universe is, I want to think about that. and And on top of that, if you wanted someone for a very long time and then suddenly you don't want them, you've released resistance to wanting them, and then suddenly all these things come around. So I could tell, like, when he's trying really hard not to think of me, because then I'll see trucks that, like, look exactly like his or have bumper stickers like his, or they'll have a driver that wears a similar sweater or hat that pops out, or I'll hear somebody say his name. It's not him, it's somebody else with that name. Or I'll see commercials, hear songs that, you know, there'll be like, was it "You Drive Me Crazy"? Oh, oh, right, you know, and like, "No one else," you know, and I know, I know that he's doing it, and I've checked in enough times, like, and been like, "What are you doing right now?" Or this and that, and I'll get some sort of curt message, or he'll look at it but not respond to me, or something will happen, and I know, okay, all right, that's what's going on. There's this synchronicity. And then there are times, like, when you can tell when they're thinking about you in positive ways, and it's kind of the same thing, but you kind of learn it really, a lot of it depends on where you are in your stage of trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting spirit, understanding manifestation and energetic vibrations, and how able you are to just let go and have fun and not worry about what something looks like or what people will think about things. I think that was probably the best thing that this separation has really helped me do. I was already a person, like, I prided myself on not really being beholden to what people thought, but I very much was. I would not have been doing this video, especially not from the car, and not in a morning that I can't sleep, before. And I really, at this point, you know what? It's the information I'm putting out. I feel good about myself. People who mind really don't matter that much. And those who don't mind, they're the ones that matter. And a lot of that is stuff I've learned through synchronicities. I don't want to make this video too much longer, but I'm trying to think of other things. So, like, okay, there was a time that my DM really needed to talk, and he didn't want to say so. So he said he was going to come see the kids, and I didn't question it. I don't need that sort of control anymore. If he wants to say he wants to talk, he can say he can talk. If he wants to say it's to see the kids, he can see the kids. I'm not controlling it. But I kid you not, like, we had just a moment to talk, and it wasn't very revealing. I could just read his energy, but before he pulled away, he pointed to a window that was nearby her house, and there was a lion in the window, and lions are very significant to both of us. And that confirmed for me that he was feeling the way that I thought he was feeling, and I'm sure he realized in that moment too that was another spirit moment, especially because the house in particular was it's a daycare to a church, right? Like spirit literally being like, this is the moment, or this moment needed to happen, or have some strength, or tame that wild inner beast in you. Um, and then there'll be other moments that I know that he's getting hit by synchronicities, and that even he is like, okay, fine, I hear you. And then he'll take a picture of whatever it is and send it to me. And I know that he's hearing it too. And I think part of the reason that synchronicities really characterize the twin flame journey in a lot more than other things, one, it's becoming aware of it. Two, it's about learning to trust spirit. And three, it kind of connects you with that telepathic ability, which I think a lot of people didn't really understand before, because we were kind of expecting it to be like you hear thoughts in your head, and it does happen. I'm going to do another video about the telepathy, but I think that sometimes we humans get a little too serious about how it has to be or what it has to look like, whereas once you start learning to have fun and embrace the absurdity of synchronicities, that's when the fun starts to happen, and the magic happens in there, and those moments when you each surprise each other, or you realize when somebody needs your attention, a friend, a family member, a child, anything. Oh my gosh, the cutest, tiniest little baby rabbit just went racing by in front of me. Yeah, and that that in and of itself could be a synchronicity, like a little bunny running, like a like running like it might get picked up by a hawk at any moment. There might be somebody that I know who is doing that. I don't know. In any case, I'm going to try to do some more videos about synchronicity, but like I said, I wanted to throw some out there, and it's also nice to see how videos grow over time. So please feel free to leave me some feedback and let me know if there's like a specific thing you'd like to know about synchronicities. It's kind of part of what took me so long in doing this. Is kind of a big topic. It's hard to be pithy about it, and it's hard to know what specifically that people would like to know. So please help yourself and help me out by, well, by liking and subscribing, but by leaving some feedback in the comments and let me know if you have specific questions about it. Alright, thanks so much. See you next video.